most out of it. So let's dive right in. Let's start with the advertising data. So walk us through what's the best way to structure it.
Okay, I'm going to just tell you exactly what it is, value up front. Then I'm going to explain what each of them are, and then I'm going to tell you why it matters. So my structure, and the structure I believe is the best for both isolation and then maximizing results, is first having one product per portfolio, then having one campaign per purpose per product, then one ad group per campaign per portfolio per product, per campaign per purpose, and then one match type per ad group. So each of those is a parent onto each other. So let's talk about what that actually means. One product per portfolio means we've got one product that is either your parent ASIN or your child ASIN. Traditionally, it's your parent ASIN, but then you only advertise one of the children because that child ASIN is the one that is going to have the best outcome from an advertising perspective. The 80-20 rule applies anywhere, but especially when you're selling anything that either has color variance or size variance. And then once we jump off that, it's one campaign per purpose. And you'd say
hold on. Yeah. I have a question because we want to dissect this as we go along, right? And I want to give you the what if scenarios and see what you think about it.
Yeah.
So sometimes there are multiple variations. Like I have a client that has 10 variations under one parent. And one or two of them, or say three of them, outperform the others. Mm-hmm. Then they start to cannibalize the sales on the underperforming ones. Mm-hmm. So therefore, there comes a time you have to make a decision. Mm-hmm. And the decision is to separate that outperforming ASIN and then take it on its own, perhaps. So, or leave it where it is and then advertise another one under the same parent. So how do you deal with advertising multiple child's ASINs under the same parent when you have this approach?
So context matters a lot. And I have gone through basically this structure that I'm talking about is battle tested. I've had some very challenging scenarios that we've been able to turn around, and every time we do it by using the structure. So to talk about your specific scenario, if, for example, the context matters a lot. So if it's 3 different colors of a product on a parent ASIN, then we'll take one strategy. And if it's 3 almost irrelevant to each other products, we might take a different approach. And then if it's 3 different sizes, we'll take a different approach. So I want to cover each of those, and I'm going to talk about each one sequentially. So if it's 3 different colors, there's going to be one color that outperforms the rest. And you don't even need to go look at the PPC data because you'll be able to see it in the search data. Again, we'll talk about search query performance later, but generally there'll be way more search for one of these than the other. And then how do I handle this? I would advertise only the one that's got the best performance from a color perspective. And then I would have specific color-based campaigns for the other colors if I wanted to push them. And so we have a term internally, we call it the velocity ASIN. And so we would choose a velocity ASIN and then make that the primary ASIN we advertise. And when you talk about cannibalization, how do we handle cannibalization in this scenario? In general, what we like to do if we are trying to, so what we recommend our clients do is just sell as much as possible on the entire parent ASIN. And when you're reordering, start to adjust for that new ratio that you're likely to see. And the one thing that you might want to think about over time is, okay, well, we are way overstocked on this one. What do we do about it? Run a promotion. run a lightning deal, run a 7-day deal, run some kind of specialty deal that's going to get additional traffic to that one variation and incentivize consumers to buy. It could be a coupon, it could be a price drop, it could be a lower price than the rest of them. I've seen each of those different scenarios play out in a color-based scenario.
Mhm.
So before I move on to the next, does the color-based scenario make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So what I'm also kind of hearing as the objective is to really get out of the ones that are not performing well. So hone in on the ones that are performing the best and stock up on those, and then ultimately you have less variations to focus on. That's really the bigger strategy here that you're driving at, right?
Yeah. And we're thinking about this from like a return on your dollars. Like what can you do to get the most dollars out of your own business? Like if you think about your Amazon business as a stock and you put $1 in on this one product and you get $3 back, and you put $1 in on this other product and you only get $1.50 back, why don't we maximize those returns for you by taking a look at where you're getting the best outcome?
Exactly. And the critical thing there is the time frame, right? In that same time frame, how much are you getting from each one of those child ASINs? And of course, you just follow the one that's giving you the most cash in that same time frame. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
And this is a completely different discussion, but there's also the scenarios. We've also had quite a few scenarios where we had to deal with liquidation, and the strategies and tactics you can use to try to liquidate a product that you're going to discontinue or you're aggressively overstocked on. That was something that hit us quite drastically towards the tail end of 2021, because people were placing gigantic orders for their products based on sales volume that they're making in early to mid 2020. So, you know, it's easy to forecast, or first of all, it's easy to look back and say, oh, what a mistake. But like at the time, nobody knew what was going to happen. Retail stores were closed for a long period of time and nobody knew what to do about it. So yeah, not trying to be on a high horse here, just trying to call out like a reason why we came across this scenario.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the color scenario.